Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Sania, and my topic is eukaryotic fungi and its importance. So, let's talk about fungi, which is a eukaryotic organism that includes microorganisms such as yeast, molds, and mushrooms. These organisms are classified under kingdom fungi. It has a prominent nucleus and well-organized membrane-bound organelles such as mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. They all integrate and together perform the activities of the cell. The organisms found in the kingdom fungi contain a cell wall and are omnipresent. They are classified as heterotrophs among the living organisms. If we have to talk about what does it mean to be called as eukaryotes, it's simply from a Greek word which is eu means true and karyons means nucleus. So basically, eukaryote means organism or cell, anything which has true nucleus. So that's why they are called as prokaryotes. Just a second. Sorry for the interruption. So that's the reason why they are actually called as eukaryotes. So if we talk about the appearance and the structure of fungi, the fungus actually have black spots. We can see in example of bread if it is left for 4 or 5 days. And if we talk about mushrooms and yeast cells, which are commonly used for the production of beer and bread, they are also called as fungi. They are found in most skin infections as well as the fungal diseases. If we observe carefully all the examples that we cite in today's life, they contain moist conditions as well as thus we can say that fungi usually grow in places which has moist, warm, enough temperature to support that growth. Probably like 27 to 30 degrees Celsius is enough for that growth. So they prefer warm climate to grow. This is how the structure of fungi looks like. So it has spores that are actually biological particles which fungi made for the reproduction. They also they have hyphae, which looks like stems. They are long filamentous structure from together as a network called mycelium. They have rhizoids such as roots in the plants.
Sania,
They anchor the fungi. Yes.
your slides are not moving.
Just a second, sir. Is it fine now?
No, you need to share your screen.
Yeah, just a second. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Is it? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
Keep changing your slide.
Um, yes, so this structure of fungi has spores, hyphae, rhizoids, sporangiophore, as well as sporangium. So these spores, they are used for the reproduction of fungi. The hyphae, they are long filamentous structure formed together as a network called mycelium. Rhizoids, they are similar to roots in the plants, and the sporangiophore, they are specialized fungal hyphae. They have stalk or sporangium. So almost all of the fungi have filamentous structure except yeast cell. They can be either single celled or multicellular. That means having single cell or having too many cells. Fungi consists of long thread-like structures known as hyphae, as I spoke before. These hyphae together form a mesh-like structure called mycelium. And the fungi possess a cell wall which is made up of chitin and polysaccharides. The cell wall comprises of protoplast, which is differentiated into other cells parts such as cell membrane, cytoplasm, and cell organoids. And they also have nuclei. The nucleus is dense, that is thick, clear, with the chromatin threads. The nucleus is surrounded by nuclear membrane. So we can see the example of mushroom as well as the growth of fungus on a branch. So if we have to talk about the characteristics of fungi, they are eukaryotic, non-vascular, non-motile, not moving, and heterotrophic organisms. They may be unicellular or filamentous. They reproduce by the means of spores. So most of them, either they reproduce by spores or asexual reproduction. Fungi, they exhibit the phenomenon of alteration of general fungi lack chlorophyll and hence they cannot perform photosynthesis. They cannot perform their own food on their own. So fungi store their food in form of starch. Even in the biosynthesis of chitin, this occurs in fungi. The nuclei of the fungi are very small actually. The fungi have no embryotic stage. They develop from the spores. The mode of reproduction is sexual or asexual. Some of the fungi are parasitic, that is living on the plants. They actually survive on their host. They suck up all the nutrients which the host produces. Also, they can infect the host. Fungi reproduce a chemical called pheromone, which leads to sexual reproduction of the fungi. Examples include mushrooms, molds, as well as yeast. So, if we talk about the classification of fungi, it's based on saprophytic, parasitic, symbiotic, or lichens. So most of the different modes there are on the basis of nutrition. It is actually classified. If we talk about the saprophytic fungi, they obtain their nutrient or nutrition by feeding on the dead organic substances. So something which is rotten, spoiled, or is actually decaying. So they depend on those organisms such as Rhizopus, Penicillium, and Aspergillus. These are the best example for saprophytic fungus. If we talk about parasitic fungus, they actually obtain the nutrients by living on other living organisms such as plants or animals. They absorb the nutrients from their host. The best example for parasitic fungi is Staphyna and Puccinia. If we talk about symbiotic, these fungi live by having an interdependent relationship. That means they are actually mutually benefited. Best example is lichens and mycorrhiza. So these lichens are the symbiotic association between alga and the fungi. Here, both alga and fungi are mutually benefited, as fungi provide the shelter for the alga, and in reverse, alga synthesizes the carbohydrates for fungi. If we see the mycorrhiza, it also has symbiotic association present between the fungi as well as the plants. The fungi improve nutrients uptake by plants, whereas the plants provide organic molecules like sugar and fungus. If we talk about the reproduction of fungus, there are usually two methods, asexual and sexual. The asexual reproduction involves fission or somatic cells budding, somatic cells fragmentation, disjoining of hyphae. So the fission is a binary fusion where the mature cells elongates and its nucleus divides into two daughter cells. We can see in this example of fusion where it is elongating and it's getting divided here. Then in form of budding, the cell wall bulges, means it swells up and softens in the area, probably by certain enzymes brought by the vesicles. So the protoplasm also bulges out in this region as small protuberance. The parent nucleus also divides into two. We can see in the figure. This is how the budding process takes place. Then fragmentation. In some fungi, fragmentation or disjoining of hyphae occurs, and each hyphae becomes a new organism. This is how fragmentation occurs, where it breaks down. Then asexual spore of fungi, they are actually zoospores, sporangiophores, chlamydiophores, and urea and conidia. So the zoospores is an asexual spore that moves by using flagellum, as we can see here in the zoospores. Then the sporangiophores, they are aerial hyphae that bear sporangia, which contains non-motile sporangiophores. The wind disperses and the mature spores, these actually these help these sporangiophores in dispersal through air currents. So when the wind blows, these sporangiophores happen to reproduce. Here is the example of sporangiophores. So when it ruptures and wind blows, it happens to form new fungal cells or reproduces. Then chlamydiophores are produced by many fungi and represents enlarged, thick-walled vegetative cells with varied forms and condense the cytoplasm that form within hyphae at the hyphal tips. Here, during this tip, they break down and form a new fungal cell or reproduce. Then oidea are born a few at a time or very simple hyphae that produces. Actually, this reproduction is rarely occurs in the in the fungal fertilization. They produce short distance into the substrate, and usually it is presumed not to constitute the main reproductive strategy of the fungus. Conidia is common reproduction method. A spore is produced asexually at the tip of a specialized hyphae by various fungi. Then, if we talk about the importance of food, fungi as food, then humans have collected and grown mushrooms for food from thousands of years. This is not the, it has going on from the maybe from more than 1,000 years. People eat fungus in form of mushrooms as well as yeast. They are used in the baking, brewery, alcoholic beverages. Other fungi are used for fermentation. A wide variety of foods, including soy sauce, tempeh, and cheeses. We can see the blue cheese is used as in fungus, and we can see the consumption of mushrooms all over the world. So, yeah, it's over, sir. Thank you.